Testing. 1 second. Testing. All right, looks like we are back in business. Test. All right, that was today is day 365 of going live in a row. And today we're going to be looking at a BRRRR deal, specifically in Alabama. And just for those folks that don't know what a BRRRR deal is, a BRRRR, B-R-R-R-R, stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And the whole point of the strategy is where, for lack of better words, you want your purchase price and your rehab costs, including holding costs. So that means your all-in cost to be about 70% to 75% of what your after repair value is. That usually stands for ARV. Now, today, we're going to be looking at this property, and we're going to see that this property is listed for 70 grand. And when I look at this property is very similar to the property I just did a renovation on, where I can see that there's this living room here, and I can probably easily close off this wall and just turn this into additional bedroom, which is what we just did at our other home. If you haven't seen that video, just make sure you message me. It's on Brett's channel as well. And Brett's one of my GCs here in this area. Great business. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to analyze a property using the BRRRR strategy. And this is going to take a little bit longer because it's a little bit more involved. But first, what you want to know is in 35211, this is a zip code I'm looking at specifically today. And before I even get into a BRRRR, you have to understand that getting your ARV, your after repair value, is going to be pretty important. Getting it accurate, right? It's an art. It's not a science. Sometimes there's different opinions. So what I have done is I have pretty much accumulated properties that are typically 4 bedrooms and higher that have sold within the last 3 months by zip code. Now, obviously, as you guys are watching these videos, you guys are free to take what you see here on my page, and you can easily see how and what properties have sold for what amount. And these are all I'm trying to only focus on renovated properties, right? Because I want to look at, if I'm renovating a property and I want it to look as nice as possible based on the after repair value that I'm trying to achieve, what does that properly look like? So today we're in 35211. And what I did in 35211 is you can see a bunch of addresses right here in 35211, all the stats that they have displayed. And then also in column I, all the sold dates that they have. And I try to stay really recent within the last 6 months at the minimum. Ideally, the closer the better, because when you're looking for after repair value, you want to look at sold properties, and you want to primarily look at, okay, what's the condition of those homes that were sold? What neighborhood of subdivisions are they? So you can see in here in column N, I have all these properties in West End Manor. Now, what does that mean, right? If I look up 1636 Alameda Drive, first I can see the general condition of the home. It looks renovated, it's recessed lighting, the kitchen looks great. I mean, they just tried a little bit harder, right? It doesn't look like a very plain, ugly home. So I know that, hey, with these finishes, what can I achieve in terms of dollar per square foot? And once I understand that, then I can understand, okay, what type of level of renovation do I want to achieve so that an appraiser that's unbiased can give a similar valuation to my property. My chat's on? Yeah, my chat's on. Good. All right. Oh, connect chat. So using these 3 properties, right? I found these 3 properties over here, all renovated. So I know exactly what type of condition of the home that I should be renovating my home to, right? On a relative basis. It should be comparable. If I want my dollar per square foot, it should be roughly the same. Same for this one. You can see that There's some like stucco textured paint, but for the most part, the floor is all new. The property's painted. The bathrooms look pretty renovated. So they've done at least a decent job of renovating on these homes. So I'm comfortable with taking these 3 properties and now to figure out, okay, where are these properties? In the subdivision area, they're in a West End manor. And this is what I mean by the West End manor. If you go and click on the link and you scroll out, I had our team organize all these comps by zip code, but then also by neighborhood, right? Obviously, if you are in West End Manor, but then you buy a home in West End, it might not be the same. But ideally, you start with a zip code, and then you start with trying to stay in the same neighborhood. I mean, whenever you cross big interstates like the 65 way, or I can see even like the train tracks over here or something like that. I mean, there's a chance that it can affect the valuation because you'll be in a completely different neighborhood. However, we're just going to do the best we can. I would value recency over location, especially if it's just over the railroad tracks. Again, every neighborhood's different. Every market's different. Don't take the word. You got to ask someone that's local to the market and understand how people actually value these homes. The reason I am going a little bit more broad is because I'm looking for 4-bedroom homes, and there just aren't that many 4-bedroom homes that get sold in this area. Usually they are 3-bedroom homes. So using these 3 numbers, I'm going to go and open up my spreadsheet now, okay? Now, I've loaded some of the information, and this is the BRRRR calculator, a little bit different than some of the calculators that you guys have seen recently. I borrowed this from somebody else. I modified it to kind of fit how I want to do it, but I still haven't finalized this template because I really want to understand from you all what type of questions you have when I go through this spreadsheet, because I am looking for feedback. I'm looking for better ways to explain and most important, teach it to you so you can do it and replicate it and do it on your own so that you can get comfort around it. All right. So this property is listed for $70,000. It's a 3-1-1178 square feet. So that's right here. Asking price is 70 grand. And then right now I'm going to go and estimate the rehab. Like what's it going to take for me to convert this 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom? And I generally look for at least 1,100 square feet if I'm looking for a 4-bedroom. I try not to never go lower than that because then it just becomes a little bit tighter of a squeeze. And I think the bigger the home is, the easier it is to rent out. So this property, I can't tell the condition of this flooring. Maybe it's okay. But you can see that this stuff is carpet, so that's probably ripped out completely. You got some flooring there. I mean, I'm going to put in flooring replacement for the entire home, including some of the tile here in the kitchen. And I'm going to repaint the entire place. So let's go ahead and go to the rehab calculator. Starting from the very top, I think this roof needs to get replaced. So up in row 4, I put 1,178 square feet for my roof replacement, roughly around $6 a square foot. That's about $7,000. I'm going to repaint the outside to make it look nicer. That's about $3,500. Windows, I'm going to replace at least about 8 windows for curb appeal. So maybe 4 in the front and some in the back, or 2 in the sides. For landscaping, yeah, I'll keep $500 for landscaping. I mean, that's not going to make or break a deal usually. For painting, I'm going to assume I did repaint the entire place. I don't know what the house looks like on this property. It's been on the market for 86 days. So it's not selling. So maybe there's a chance they would accept a discounted offer or a offer that's lower than the asking price. We'll get into that on how much I can offer. And then my LVP, I'm just replacing all the flooring in the entire home for $8 a square foot. Could it be cheaper? Could it be less? Yeah, sure. But let's just put that in there for now. Now the bathroom, did I see any photos of the bathroom? This bathroom was okay. I'll probably replace the vanity just so it looks a little bit nicer based on, you can kind of see how nice this bathroom looks, right? Like this is the comp I'm looking for. And this looks like a bathroom I can be proud of, right? It's just a little bit nicer, but it pops. And that's what I'm going for. So that's why I'm replacing it right here, because I'm looking at the comps and I want to be very objective with how I evaluate these deals. So replacing the vanity, cabinet, a countertop, the mirror, replacing the sink, replacing the toilet with a high pressure flush toilet, probably replace the bathtub and shower as well. And then I'm going to add an extra bedroom. I'm going to put in 20 grand for now as a placeholder. It could be less, could be a little bit more. Just depends on how much, when are you putting in a wall build, whether or not there's a vent there already that maybe you got to do something, but it's a kind of a catch-all between 15 and 20 grand. So I lump that in there. And even if I have some extra room, great. So that gives me total rehab was about 50 grand, but after I add some contingencies, I'm gonna assume that my rehab is about 60 grand. Okay, because I'm assuming there's some stuff that I can't see from the photos right now. So I got in my info, I got 70 grand for an asking. I got rehab for things. So let's say I'm using $60,000 right now for my asking for my purchase price. So they're asking for 70, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna give only $60,000 because I'm just using it as a baseline to estimate it. Okay. Now for my ARV, I'm gonna look at the 3 properties that we talked about earlier. These 3 that I kind of copied all over the details for. And 116, and this comes to an average of $98. So if I go to D12 and I do $98, right? This property is 1178 square feet. So my ARV is going to equals to my square foot ARV based on the ARV. So 115 grand. And if that is the case, then I have to assume that this is probably not a deal because guess what? My purchase price and my rehab is over my ARV. That means I'm spending more money on the renovations and the purchase than what it would be worth. But let's go through it because I want to show you how does this change. And for our rent, I'm going to go to affordablehousing.com. I'm going to type in the address, plug in a bank account, click on get estimate. And now I'm going to get this 1,300 number. So I'm going to put that right in here on 1,300. For taxes, let's see. I'm going to assume that's about $100 a month. And my insurance is about $1,050 just because that's what my property is going for in Fairfield. But just an estimate. Obviously, you should probably get a more accurate insurance quote before you close. So using these numbers, my ARV right now is 115 grand. My market rent based on this page right here, 5 units within a 1.5 mile radius for these 4 bedrooms. That is where we have 1,300. Okay. So now that I got this ARV 115 grand, let's go to the buy part. So if I buy it for ARV 115, that kind of falls over. Purchase price 60 grand. My repairs is 60 grand. Closing costs, I'm going to have about 5% of the purchase price right now, just for like legal fees and docs and stuff like that, which seems reasonable. And then I have holding costs. Right now, I am assuming that I am borrowing from private lenders at a 10% interest rate for, that's assuming it's a 30-year amortization, but really you should be paying back your private money lenders when you do a refinance on this property so that you can take all the capital back out and repay your lenders. So at 10%, right? My monthly TI, if I'm borrowing 119 grand, which is all the money I need for the purchase and the rehab, which is made up of these 2 numbers right here in C7 and C8, right? Well, that's how much I am owing on the monthly amounts because I'm only paying interest only because once I repay it, I'm just going to repay everything back all at once. So this is why in B16, I'm doing 100% down because I'm buying all cash, even though I'm borrowing all the capital with private lenders. Okay. So now that I got my holding costs, my closing and holding costs right here, my total capital that I have spent on this deal is 128. Right. So let's be really clear. Even though my purchase price was 60 grand and my repairs, my rehab was 60 grand, I still had almost about $9,000 of closing costs and holding costs that I need to add into the total capital I spent, right? Just make sure that you include that entire capital stack in there. So for my rehab, I got about 4 or 5 months. I'm estimating a 4-month rehab with another month before it gets leased out. So that's my total holding costs. And then for my rehab calculator, we already went through it. So for my rent, I'm going to do, I'll just do $1,350 for now. Because I've seen other 4-bedroom homes are renting out for $1,400, and I just saw this for $1,300. So I'm assuming my property is going to be a little bit nicer. I'm going to refinance it into a higher thing. So you can ignore this section up here. What I care most about is this section down here, where it says what is the cash flow after you refinance the property? Okay. Now to calculate the refi, I'm going to come to the next tab here in the refi tab. So if I'm estimating my rehab, my ARV to be worth $115,444, which again came from this page right here, right? This dollar per square foot came from an average of 3 comps that I found and multiplied by the existing square footage because I'm not adding square footage. I'm simply renovating and adding a bedroom. It's different than adding square footage to make it 115. Now, My all-in cost right now is 128. Why? Because remember, I had 120 grand of purchase price from rehab, but I also had to add in closing costs. So when you get a 75% loan to value loan, DSCR loan, a debt service coverage ratio loan, they are only going to loan you $86,583 if your ARV is $115,444. Using a 7.5% interest rate, which is what I'm doing, and it's about 3.6 to refinance it. Your total PITI after you refinance is $792.90. Okay. So now, going to my analysis. If you're leaving $41,930, right? This is calculated right here from the refi place, right? You are getting your total on investment is 128 grand. You're getting a loan for $86,000. So the difference is $41,930. That's how much money you're leaving in the deal. So your cash on cash now is calculated on how much money you're leaving on the deal, even though you have spent $120,000, but you're only leaving 41 grand. So your cash on cash return is going to be calculated on your cash flow based off of that. And I'm going to use year 3 just to kind of keep simple. That'd be about a 10% return on your money, assuming your rents continue to go up a little bit over each year. Well, 9-10%, that's not really a good deal. And leaving in 41 grand isn't ideal either. So let's go through some scenarios, right? So now I'm going to calculate this, and I'm going to go to the bad scenario here. So if we think, I'm just going to note this. If we think the ARV is 115 grand and a purchase price 60 grand, here's our returns. And I went ahead and did all these scenarios, but I'm going to walk you through what I'm thinking. So what if I'm wrong? What if my rehab value is actually 130 grand? And how do I get there? Well, for me to get there, I would probably have to make this 116, 110. Let's go a little lower. Okay, 111. I'm going to assume that I'm going to renovate the property to the highest price per square foot. Okay, at $116, which means that I'm going to go for this type of finish in case I get challenged on my appraisal. So this is my best case scenario, okay? Because I'm using a comp with the type of finishes that I would seek to visually be equal to, okay? Now, it's a 7,840 square foot lot. How much is this lot? I want to make sure the lot size ain't that big of a difference. 7,400. Okay, so the square foot lot's completely the same. So I feel good about doing this because then your lot size is almost the same, and it was sold just about less than 4 months ago to today's date. So if I get to my best case scenario, 111 grand, and I can get this property worth 130 grand, well, what does that mean? If I follow the same rehab and purchase price, I can go all the way to my analysis tab now and realize that, okay, this is how much cash I'm leaving into the deal. So now I'm leaving 30,886, but my return is 10% though. Because you haven't yielded that much difference. You're still leaving almost extra 10 grand. So let me go ahead and update the value a little bit more. So if I lower my purchase price to 50 grand, what does that equal now? I should be updating in the info tab. If I update my purchase price to 50 grand, that's going to flow through right here to 50 grand. Boom. Everything kind of flows through. Okay. And now my loan amount, you can see that my ARE went up. My loan amount has gone up to 97 grand. So I'm leaving in less capital. So I'm leaving in 20 grand now instead of 41 grand. And now if my purchase price is this, then now this is my new return. Source formatting, boom. Now I'm at 16%. Well, if I'm want to leave as little money as possible, then even at 130 grand, I still need to go even lower my purchase price. So let's keep lowering my purchase D10, $40,000. And now when again, it flows through to the refi tab. So now my all-in cost is lower because I lowered my purchase price. And my loan amount is still the same, 97 grand, but because I spent less money, I have less cash left in the deal at 9,052. And with 9,052, source for me. And now you can see the difference in the value right here. And I'm trying to outline the different scenarios for all of you so that you can understand how to truly evaluate your deal. Obviously, your goal is to do a perfect BRRRR, right? But don't let the idea of a perfect BRRRR get in the way of getting a great deal, right? If you can get this property for $40,000, knowing that you can do a rehab for 60 grand, and your ARV is 130 grand, well, now you know all in cash about 106. If you can get an ARV of 130, then you know you'll probably be leaving about 9-10 grand in the deal, which means that in this scenario, you're close to about 30% cash on cash return. In my opinion, that's worth it. A 30% return on your capital is still an amazing deal, right? You don't hear about double-digit returns like that often. Obviously, would you want to get a perfect BRRRR? Yeah. But could the property appreciate a little bit more in a year or two? It could, but I wouldn't bank on it. That's really risky. And that's why this is not an investment advice, right? That is why we go through this exercise of helping you understand why do we go through a scenario analysis. Because if you just went through this property and you say, oh, okay, I'm guessing 60 grand, good. Well, that's not a deal. You pass it. But what price and rehab estimate could make this a deal, right? This easily could have been, hey, if you could adjust it both ways, right? So I kept lowering the purchase price, but what if you got a contractor out there and obviously he said, you know what, you overestimate your rehab, is actually 40 grand. So now I can afford to give 60 grand of my purchase price because that will also yield the same return almost, plus or minus a few percentage points. Okay. This is why it matters so much for you to go through the scenarios and actually understand what rehab, what purchase price, what set of terms will make this a deal, right? As interest rates go up and down, you can adjust your factors here. So hopefully this is helpful, everybody. A BRRRR analysis is not as straightforward as some of the on-market analysis that we've done, but the principle is still the same. You get your property, you understand what the asking price is, you estimate the rehab still, and you slowly get into, well, how do I calculate my ARV, my after repair value? You have to look at recently sold comps, look at the price per square foot, and also understand the condition of these homes. So you understand, hey, if I'm going to go tell my contractor to renovate this property, I probably need to have some suggestions on what I am looking for, right? For how the property should look. And for you to base your assumptions on a certain ARV, well, if you're trying to get $116 per square foot price, well, shouldn't you try to get similar finishes as a property that's getting $116 per square foot like this property? I would certainly hope so. I mean, it's also logical, right? It's not rocket science. Is it an art sometimes when you have different appraisers looking at property? Sure. But if you gave them an exact same property next to this home with the same finishes, then it should appraise for a similar price, especially on $1 per square foot, right? You would think, especially if you have all the factors like lot sizes and stuff like that, which is, this is 700 square foot, and a home that we're looking at was 7,400 square foot, so less than a 5% difference, less than the 10% difference. So this is all the factors that you have to put into your BRRRR analysis to figure out what is the price, what is the rehab number, what are the set of terms, and the refinancing terms and cost of financing should be for you to achieve a return that you can be happy with. And again, you got to go through all these different analysis, but obviously as you adjust your ARV, as you adjust your purchase price, right, your set of terms change dramatically. So please be wary of it. Please go through the exercise. Please go through the analysis. And if you guys want to copy this spreadsheet, I don't have a link to my website because I'm still tweaking it. I'm modifying so that I can analyze these deals as quick as possible. BRRRR analysis just takes a longer time because you have to look for ARVs. Today, I compressed this video because I've done a ton of work in terms of outlining what are the sold comps by zip code that are renovated already for all these 4-bedroom properties. So I already have the dollar per square foot. So I already have the square, right? Like, this is just my way of approaching it. You do not have to go through the same approach that I do, but this is how you build up that base through repetition and understand how do you spot these deals, quote unquote, especially for these BRRRR deals, which are getting harder and harder every single day. You don't think that's everybody else's strategy? Well, how do you prove it to yourself that's a deal? By understanding the market, notating where all these properties are, notating what neighborhoods and subdivisions they are in, so you can easily do an analysis, and then do the work. I hope you copy the same property that I analyzed today, right? Using the same spreadsheet. Again, DM me the word BRRRR to Instagram or LinkedIn, and I will have my team send a spreadsheet to you. All right. I hope you all have an amazing day. How do I find a rental that is clean in a safe place? Single one person. Have you tried looking on affordablehousing.com? That's probably where I would start first, but you should have plenty of rentals also in Zillow and etc. So, and then you can also use other data sources about crime spot, neighborhood scout. You can also look at all those ones, but give that a shot. I hope that helps. All right, so that's it for today, guys. We have been live for 365 days in a row. I am so grateful for all of you supporting the podcast mission. The skill I've been working on for the past year has been the skill of having no excuses. And I feel like I've gotten there. I have not missed a single day, even on birthdays, even when I was on my anniversary with my wife. And I really hope that you all could be inspired to do the same thing, copy my homework, make your own YouTube channel. Question, thank you. Eventually, thank you so much for joining the lives. You guys have no idea how much it means when you are on the messages and you're typing, and I am so grateful for all of you for joining the lives. And eventually, I hope you don't have to rent from me. I hope you can do the same thing I'm doing today and find your way of building your knowledge, of building your expertise, so that you can become a landlord. I used to be a kid. I walked around these apartment buildings being built, and I thought that game could never be for me. I started a podcast 2 years ago, and the first month we had 17 views. And I'm pretty sure that it was just my wife and my mom that was clicking on it. It was incredibly lonely. And by month 2, we had 87 views. 2 years later now, we have over 250,000 views across all the platforms. And I could not have done this without all of you. Whenever I get any of these messages from all of you, I'm so grateful. Truly, I'm so grateful. You guys have no idea how much it means to me. And I'm so glad I can bring you all value every single day to inspire you a little bit, but also just to prove that you can do it. You can attract the right opportunities to your life. You can attract the right people to your life. But you can't control that. What you can control is the skills and the mindset and the life lessons that you have been able to apply to your life. And some of the biggest lessons I've learned in the past year is just learning from the right people, but getting into the right rooms, and then developing the skills that make people trust you. Who do you need to become so that other people will want to support your mission, that would want to support your goal of making impact for other people? Who do you need to become? And I realized that one of the first skills I need to do was, how can I show people that I'm consistent? Well, don't tell people you're consistent, just be consistent. And we have gone live every single day for 365 days in a row. And you can do that too. You can just copy my homework. Seriously. You don't have to give me any credit. And I really hope that when you copy my homework, you find one thing to explain better than I did, to do it better than I did, so that you can become a better version of yourself, so you can attract other people. Self-discipline can't be taught. My way of hacking it was realizing in the beginning that if I post on Instagram or tell the world that, hey, I'm going to go live for 100 days in a row, I better do it. Because otherwise people won't believe me anymore. They won't trust me anymore. And that was enough for me to get going. You will motivate yourself in your own way because you understand yourself the best. Not everybody needs to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and take a cold shower and meditate for 3 hours to be successful. You have your own way. You have my permission to be yourself, but you have to be self-aware. You have to understand why you want to do this and how do you motivate yourself. And for me, I'm a type of person that doesn't really do anything for myself. I would do it for others. And that motivates us as humans so much, right? How many times will we go out of our own way, go help somebody? And maybe you can find some motivation in that. I'm just so grateful for you all, for supporting the podcast, for sharing the channel, and just sticking it out with me. I can listen to my old videos a year ago and they were cringy. They were so cringy. But I'm glad I did it. And I thought about deleting these videos at some point. And I'm so glad I did not. Jen, thank you for joining the live. I'm so glad I didn't quit. And I'm not going to delete the videos because now I can show my daughter what it means to put in the work and what it means to be bad in the beginning. Your kids, your family, your future generations, they are all going to look to you. So the best thing you can do for them, not for yourself, for them, is to get started today. Show them how much you're going to trip over yourself. Show them how much you're going to stumble over your own words. Show them that you just had all these thoughts in your brain and you didn't know how to structure it and you didn't know how to walk people through how to analyze a deal. But they're going to thank you for it. You're going to thank yourself for it. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. I'm so grateful. Sincerely, without people like you, I would have never had the home I grew up in. And I'm so serious about that. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Please continue to share the podcast with other people. Please DM me any feedback you have. If I could have explained that BRRRR deal a little bit better, in a more clear way, please let me know. And if you all have anybody that would be a great guest for the Affordable Housing Podcast, please send them my way. I will gladly vet them. I would just ask that you don't send any slumlords my way. That's it. Honestly, sincerely. I am so grateful for all of you coming onto the live, watching this on replay. I'm so grateful. I hope you all have an amazing Sunday. I hope you all spend some quality time with your family and friends today, because that is what life is all about. This wasn't investment advice. I'm just showing you how to process every single day to get 1% better. That's all you got to do. You just got to show up and be the best version of yourself. Showing up is not half the work. Showing up is just getting through the door. You have to get better every single day. And the only way to get better is by doing the work. Thank you so much. Please do a podcast for people with vouchers looking for safe, clean places. I will look for a guest that has been on a voucher. I think I have an idea. One of my podcast guests in Detroit, his name was Stu. He said he has some folks that live in Section 8 home. And I believe the story he told me is that she is now a ER nurse. And she would have never gotten to where she was had she not had the help from her voucher. And now she's an ER nurse, helping people in some of the darkest days of their lives. When they need the most compassion and care, she's there. And just remember, we all say we want to help people, but who do you want to help and how do you want to help them? Hope that's housing. But today, I hope you also incorporate this additional question, which is, who do you need to become to create the impact that you want to have on the world, to inspire the amount of people that you want to inspire, whether that's your family and your friends or any of your loved ones? Who do you need to become to earn their attention? But most importantly, there's someone out there right now on the streets that could really use a home. And that person is depending on you to become that person, to develop the skills, to apply the life lessons that you can learn from other successful people, so that you can apply all your time and your energy and your resources to creating safe, decent, affordable housing for every working person in the world. That's our mission. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm so grateful. I will talk to you all tomorrow for day 366. Have a good one, everybody.